Hello guys, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. Um, Tomorrow is my check-in day at rehab, which I do once a month in the city, where they supply me with my methadone and for the month, which I bring back to Denman Island Medical Clinic and give to my doctor, who dispenses the methadone and the clonazepam to me, and I have it in my house daily so that I can have it in the mornings, and I see him once or twice a week here on Denman. Now, going into the city for me and for many addicts in recovery and early recovery especially is a very hard thing to do actually, and it's a very huge challenge. For example, every time I would go into the city, whether it was for rehab or for court or whatever it was, I would almost always make mistakes and end up relapsing, end up buying some more of my own meds or something like that, most likely, and then doing them on top of my prescription meds at home and getting high like that, or end up getting something else that's another drug. From the city. Tomorrow I'm going to a rehab center where I will be sitting in a waiting room filled with people who are high as kites and drunk, and they are doing drugs in there, and they're drinking in there, they're sweating in there, they're all dealing and wheeling. That's the way things look at rehab. Most people in rehab are in bad state. They're there for real help, last call. Some people, harm reduction. They're trying to practice harm reduction, even though they still use on daily basis. They're still allowed to be on the program and still at least practice safer. And this is what harm reduction is. It's not just providing methadone, it is also providing all types of different harm reduction techniques to keep people alive, even though they're using, and most people tomorrow will pee positive in the cup, for illicit drugs, and I will be one of the only ones, like I have been for over 3 years, being negative every single time for any illicit drugs, anything except for what I was prescribed. Except for those days during those years when I struggled, whenever I went into the city, and I struggled and I couldn't say no, and I basically gave in to cravings like most people do when they go into the city. Now, there was a lot of friends of mine and close family members who used to always worry when I used to go to the city. They'd always think that I should go with somebody or that I shouldn't go unattended, and it was always an issue. I used to get afraid to be there. Nowadays I really don't like the city because of the vibes that I have experienced. Because of the faces that I see in the streets that I recognize that other people don't necessarily see. I see the darkness that people pass by. I see the slums that people pass by and don't notice. I see the suffering in people's eyes, even though other people walk by and don't notice it. But what does a guy who's just a druggie and going in recovery tomorrow into the city where all the drugs are do? Usually, if he's weak-minded, all he needs is money. Money, money, money. Money is not usually the issue. Somehow a drug addict is a genius at getting at least 40-50 bucks every day. I don't know how we do it or how we used to do it, and no idea. Most of us never worked. We never, I don't know, just somehow through hustling we always accumulated enough just to get high every day. You know what I mean? And how selfish must that be when you're a parent, you know? I can only imagine when I was a parent, I had more than enough money to support my family because I had my own business. So it didn't tap into our family money at all. But I can imagine people who have children and no money, no work, and actually spend that money, the only money they have or get, instead of milk for the kids, they spend on the crack cocaine, you know, like literally. Um, so basically, what I'm gonna do tomorrow, not only do I have guardian angels all around me, like my dear grandma, you know, like my mother, my dear Laura, my dear Eliza, you know, my dear friends who are always with me, they'll always be with me, you know, and I will always think of them before I make any stupid mistakes. And as usual, I'll just do my own business there. I'll be there. I won't talk to anybody, and I'll just go about my business because I have stuff to do. I have set goals, you know. So I will go, for example, to the courthouse, try and speak to a lawyer, you know, try and get my divorce proceedings moved forward a little bit. You know, I am going to Service Canada for sure, so that there is one more step, big step made toward me getting my passport finally, so I can have some more freedom. And you know, I have things to do. I'm meeting a friend who at 11 o'clock tomorrow, for example, will bring me all the information and details on the place where you go and get your teeth fixed for free, almost for free if you're on disability. And I'm definitely meeting him and taking care of that. So instead, you know, I might even drop by the food bank in the city and just pick up my meds and go home and do the smart thing, you know, like I usually do. Just do the smart thing, come back home, and once I reach the island and once I put my foot back on Denman, where there is no drugs, there is no crazy people and aggression and madness, you know, I always feel relief. And this is what I will do tomorrow. And this is what I would advise you, what I used to do, if you don't feel comfortable going in the city alone. Call a friend, you know, get a pink slip, like a medical pink slip that gets you and a car and a driver, you know, like let's say the doctor could write you a note that you need um, to have an escort with you, you know, and they will let that person in the car and you on the ferry for free, for example. And if you reach out and ask, you will be surprised how many friends will go to town with you just to make sure you're safe, you know. And you could pitch in for gas, you could pitch in for ferries, you could pitch in for everything, and then you could end up doing groceries and your town things all together in one, you know, and help each other out that way, because we hate going to the city. The least favorite activity by a Denman Islander, I think, is to go into town. That is the truth. So I hope I was a little bit helpful there. And tomorrow, for people like me and everybody who's going into that rehab center, there's going to be tons of people. Everyone from Courtney, I guess, tomorrow is meeting at that office all day to see their doctors and get their prescriptions and play their games, you know. Hopefully, some of them will change their games up a bit, and instead of asking the person next to them if they have any drugs, I will ask a counselor that's there for some information. And because I'm doing pretty good. And actually tomorrow I plan to taper down a little bit. I'd say another 5 milligrams of methadone. I think I've earned it, and I won't suffer too much. So I will go ahead and make that move, you know. And I know it's a brave move because for many years I was not ready at all I was too scared to go down even 5 milligrams, and now I have gone down 35 already over the last 8 months. So it is a lot about willpower and taking your life back again, you know. Once again, I love you and I'm with you. You know, if you're having trouble with anything, give me a ring, talk to me. Even on here, I will find you, I will answer. Ciao.